Real talk. No bull. Real talk. We're putting it all on the table. You know what to do.
Welcome everybody
Cameras there. I
to
got lost
episode
in
4.
it.
Again, Braden, right underneath the
Yeah,
light.
I keep looking over
Where
there.
the camera is. Okay.
Yeah, I keep looking over there.
Welcome to episode 44.
Come back for more.
Jaws on the floor.
Something like that.
Yeah. We have a guest on tonight. Jess, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. It's absolute pleasure to get you on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now tonight's episode's going to be a little bit. I guess I'm just going to put it out there with a bit of a trigger warning. I'm going to talk about some really heavy subject, but there's going to be quite a story of redemption here.
100%.
Yeah. So Jess was a survivor of some domestic violence that you lived with for quite some time. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, hearing words like survivor and redemption, it's so crazy because it's like, that was just my everyday life, and I was just surviving. Yeah, but I guess to be here, I'm so grateful.
Yeah, no, and we're grateful to have you. So thank you for
Yeah, thank you
coming
very
on
much. Appreciate
and
it.
thank you for coming on to share your story with us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
We feel very humbled actually to be able to give you the platform really to be able to share it. So yeah.
Thank you.
I guess where we'll start is let's start right back at the beginning, like even before you met your ex-partner. Tell us where you grew up and what you're like as a young Jess.
Yeah, so I grew up in Melbourne. I was born and raised there. My mum is from Thailand, so half Australian, half Thai. And it's hard. Childhood and when I have to think back and stuff, it can be a bit of a blur, and doing a lot of work on that and stuff, like I think there was a lot of good moments, and there obviously were just a lot of moments that I just felt, I think, disconnected from myself, and I think I felt I'm just a bit lost, and I think I struggled. I think growing up I always felt different. Struggled to fit in because, my skin color is different. Like I went to an all Catholic, I was in an all Catholic community, went to Catholic high school. So, when I look back, I know that there were a lot of good moments. Like my parents did their absolute best and they loved me, the best, how that, the way that they know, and, that, we're, and I'm a mum now. So I know that we're all doing the best that we can. So, but I just had, I guess, feelings inside that I didn't quite make sense of at the time, but through my healing and stuff now, I understand. But because of that, teenage years, I think, and once I hit high school, were really hard years. I think that sense of belonging and wanting to fit in. And it's interesting because our daughter now, she's 12, just started high school. So I can really relate to what she's going through, and it's
Such a hard age.
It is, yeah.
Such a hard age.
It is. I always knew high school was going to be tricky.
Yeah.
But it starts earlier now. It starts younger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Braden and I both have 10-year-old daughters.
Yes.
So,
Exactly. Yeah.
The pressures and wanting to fit in and trying to keep all the other girls and friends happy and
the dramas.
Yeah. Like I couldn't imagine what it would be like for a young female.
No.
And it almost seems even like doubled now.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that's just because we're parents looking at it from, different eyes.
Yeah.
But the social pressures just seem different.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for example, just as an example, my daughter's walking around with pimple patches on her face with like love hearts and stars, and I'm like, well, miss, people know what's under it.
Yeah.
We've gone without it for years and years and years, But again, it just comes back to the pressures and all these things that, like you said, they're happening earlier, much earlier.
And I think social media and technology, like, you know, we don't know what it's like to be a kid growing up now, but we know what it was like for us. So you want to you parent because you want them to have a different experience. You want to be the parents that they didn't get, but then also at the same time they're growing up in a world that we have no clue about. Technology, social media, like we know as adults how hard social media and all that and how that makes us feel, and you know, it's hard not to get caught up in comparison and all that sometimes, or doom scrolling. So yeah, you know, the fact that our younger generation are having access to this so young as well, adds a lot of pressure. But yeah, it just blew me away. I think 10 years old, my daughter went down to Melbourne and stayed with family, and she was coming back with all this stuff from Mecca, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, and I took it off her. I was like, you can't use that. That's not good for your skin. And yeah, I was just, you know, a horrible mum. But I mean, I didn't even know what that was growing up. We didn't have Mecca, but yeah, it's that. And then it's also, it's the wanting to fit in that, like wanting to belong so young. And then we try to be very conservative with her phone and technology, but then, you know, everyone else has phones and Snapchat and social media and Apple Watches. Like she came home from school asking for an Apple Watch in grade 4, and we were like, what? Like I don't even have one. Yeah.
Our daughters hit us up for the Apple Watch now, and I'm just like, miss, you don't get the concept of money.
Yeah. No,
You don't
we have
get the
those
concept
arguments
of money.
all the time. Yeah.
You know, and it's easier to police the internet back when we were young because we had dial-up and Messenger,
Yeah.
you know, or Merc.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it was easier to police then.
The old dial-up tone.
Yeah.
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 Yes. So what was teenage life like for you
So
growing up in Melbourne there?
yeah, I think
You were at an all girls.
all girls
Catholics.
Catholic high
Yeah.
school, and it was in a wealthy area, so in Brighton, in Bayside, So my school, was in that, but it wasn't the grammars. It was kind of like the lower end of the private school, the cheaper of the private schools. So, you know, we've got friends and social circles and stuff outside of the school, and you know, in this bubble and in this world. But you know, that wasn't the world that I was from. I just happened to go to school in that area. So then it's, you know, the not really fitting in with that, but people assuming because you go to that school and you're from that area that you're, you know, that you're quite well off. And so that was just another form of fitting in. But besides, with school, it was just finding my feet. So my parents split up right as I started high school, and it wasn't sudden, but you know, there was a lot of lead up and build up to that. And I have a younger sister, so she's 6 years younger than me. So, you know, we you know, heard a lot of arguments. She'd crawl into my bed growing up. So we knew that things were going on, but the way it happened was very sudden and shocking. So I think with my parents dealing, you know, with what they were going through too, I think starting high school, trying to find my feet, just trying to fit in. Also, I got diagnosed with ADHD 2 years ago. Yeah, so, you know, academically as well, like, I would have the wrong textbooks in subjects. I wouldn't know where I was. And
I hear ya.
Yep.
I hear ya.
Yeah.
I'm part of the late diagnoses club as well.
Yeah. So that within its own, like being late diagnosed, I can look back now and I'm like, it makes so much sense. But until I had that diagnosis, like I was just like, what is wrong with me? Yeah.
It's an important thing. Once you kind of get diagnosed with it, there's a way of getting that help, and like you said, a lot of things click.
Yeah.
And then once you can get that treated correctly, it plays a huge role in your life.
Yeah. It was like, for me to get diagnosed, you know, things, especially like in our relationship and stuff, like that was when I really started to notice it, because I'd probably been masking for so long, and then I was, probably felt safe to not mask, but also, you know, we had a lot going on, like we're working, just like a lot of pressures and stuff too. So it was just kind of like, what is wrong with me? And then, you know, I had a really good friend get diagnosed, and for women as well, like the symptoms are so different than men. And everyone around me, like, we're saying, no, you don't have it. But my friend who got diagnosed, actually, you know, you wouldn't expect her to have it too. So I went into the diagnosis because I didn't want a label, and I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want it to be like, you know, an excuse or anything, but I just wanted to know, and then to have that. And I got diagnosed split down the middle of inattentive and hyperactive. So it just, yeah, it gave me so much relief. Like when I look back at my schooling, if you had have asked me a couple years ago, when I look back, I would have sat here and been like, I don't know what was wrong with me. Like, but I always just, something didn't feel right, just felt out of place. So I guess you have the pressures of that, things going on at home. I just wanted to escape. And I learned to do that as soon as I was introduced to drugs and partying socially. But yeah, that was my sense of escape. And then school, was on the back burner as well. Teachers, they weren't helping me. They were literally saying, what's wrong with you? Like, you're in the wrong class. Like, there was no support so I didn't want to be at school. As soon as I learned that I could skip school and I was old, that's what I was doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I was very similar.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us from those generations, we were like that.
Yeah.
You get to a point where you either do or you don't.
Yeah.
You either stay or you just leave.
Yeah.
And I was a bit the same.
Yeah.
Really.
I was a stayer, but I eventually got told not to do year 12.
Yeah.
It's like a confidence booster.
Yeah. So after high school, where did you find life taking you after high school?
Yeah, so it was still during high school. So I was forced to stay, but I wasn't present at school. I was barely there. I barely scraped by my year 12 exams, but because I was living with my mum for the first half of high school, and then I moved in with my dad, and we hadn't spoken for a couple of years. So when I moved in with him at 16, I was just about to turn 16. And he was like, you can have a 16th party, like have 30 friends. And I was like, oh, really? Like, cool, Dad, thank you. Ended up having like close to 80, 90. Everyone was drinking. My dad was just like, that's not what he was expecting. Yeah. He had my uncle on the door as security, like his baby brother. And they were just like, what is going on, Jess? And a lot of people, like a lot of friends I'd known for a few years, like just, passed out, throwing up. And he was just like, is this what 16-year-olds do? And I was like, I thought this is what you meant by having a party. So that's kind of where I was at. And by the time I moved in with him, he couldn't really control me, or he didn't really have any idea of what behaviours and what was going on. He tried sort of, but I was just kind of like, fuck you, like, I'm here because I have to be. I put him and my stepmom through a bit of grief. I put my baby sister through a bit of grief too, actually. When I went back over Christmas, she was telling me, like, because we were so close and, like, I shielded her from a lot, and then, we went through that transition to my dad's together. Like, she said I was mothering her. Like, I taught her to cook and all this stuff. And when I'd go out those nights and weekends, like, she'd wait up for me.
Oh.
Yeah. That was on Christmas. Yeah, there was quite a few tears. I was like, you don't think about that, because I was so I was so consumed in my stuff and wanting to escape. And also my parents were so preoccupied but also strict at the same time. So parties, drinking, like there was no asking, can I go to a party and pick me up at this time? It was like, no, you're not going out. So, and a few of my friends' parents were like that. So we would all just call and pretend to be each other's parents, and we'd be out for the whole weekend. Yeah.
I even got my friends to try to call up my work and put on the dad voice to say he can't come in because he's sick.
Yeah. And I just look back and I'm like, how did they fall for that? Yeah. But that was in its own, that was actually a really dangerous thing, because, we would have big nights and go from place to place, and sometimes I've nowhere to go. Like, we'd be sleeping in parks or, just drinking, but like we just, got pretty loose and started mixing with, other groups and crowds, and just met a lot of people through that. And so by the time I was in year 12, approaching my year 12 exams, like I didn't want to stay in high school. I wanted to go, there was a public school that a lot of my friends went to that seemed like the right fit, but it wasn't an option. So I was told I wanted to drop out, but I was told if I wanted a roof over my head, I had to finish year 12 exams. So I did the absolute bare minimum to look like I was studying and wasn't sitting on MSN.
Yeah.
But around that time, so approaching my end of year 12 exams is when I met my ex-partner. So I was 17 and I was just so lost that everything about him and that world, and it just drew me in. Yeah.
What kind of world was that?
It was a very different world than I was in, and it appealed to me because I guess what I can how I can explain it now is I was just in so much pain that it's like our pain and kind of traumas drew each other in, and that's how, we connected. But his world was he'd just gotten out of youth detention. He was hanging around like a youth gang. Yeah, just not going to school, drinking every day, and I was just like, wow, how cool is this?
Yep.
Like they just get to do what they want.
Yeah. And that's attractive.
It is.
That's appealing.
Yeah.
It is.
You know,
It is.
that's it's amazing how you get pulled into that when you're young. Like you almost go through this like ambitionless phase, and it's you just want for nothing more than to be free.
Yeah.
And that's that feeling of being free. I went through it.
Yeah.
Yep.
All I wanted to do was just skateboard and smoke weed, and and that's essentially what I did. For a bit.
Yeah. Well, you're craving for something that you're lacking in life,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you found it.
Yeah, which is like all my friends, family from the outside were just like, what are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, and it also came down to that sense of belonging and not knowing where I belonged. I also didn't belong in that world. But because of the pain and the trauma and, they're like, they were escaping too. So that was just like, oh, you can do this every day. Like you drink, what do you mean? Like, yeah. So I guess that kind of really drew me in. And yeah, when you say free, I was like, yeah, it feels like, yeah, it's like kind of like freedom, but in a weird way. Yeah.
That's right. Because
Yeah.
you actually get shackled.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're not free.
Yeah.
You're the complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, at the time it does feel very freeing and liberating.
Yeah.
Because you're saying a big fuck you to the world.
the man, yeah.
Yeah.
And but then at the same time you fall into this really horrible place, right?
Yeah. And that's kind of what happened, and it happened really quickly. And it was, so I finished my year 12 exams, which did what I needed to do. And it was, the exam after parties and stuff, like him and some of his friends came out. We were like, we just bended for a while, my dad and I ended up having a pretty big fight, and he was like, that's it, you're out. And I was like, that's fine, I've got somewhere to go. Like he had a commission flat, and I was just like, he's like, come stay with me. And that was, when like, that's what I feel like at the time, that felt like freedom. Yeah.
And so you guys are now formulated a relationship, and you're kind of living together and whatnot. And how was it at the start? How was the start of the relationship?
So I mean, this is how lost I was, and how lost, broken, without guidance. It wasn't your typical, like when you hear about like love bombing, and it wasn't like that. Like it wasn't great from the start. It was hot and cold. But in those moments when it was like, it was hot and he'd reach out or like, give me, it was like, wow, like, this is great. Like, yeah, go hang out. And then, it was just that cycle. A few good days. And then, he basically I was pretty much living there unofficially because, he just said, stay as long as you need. But because we were drinking every day and I'd finished school and I had all this free time, like proper freedom, right? Yeah, we had that freedom to drink, smoke weed, pills, like all that when we could. So it was just an up and down, like, I think that was really, if I can explain it in any way, I think that was probably the beginning of like us trauma bonding, because we, not only we were becoming addicted to each other, but then, it was just so up and down. But I would go around with him, like, you know, to his friends and do things. And yeah, I always felt safe with him, but yeah, it was scary. Like he's, you know, in some of the people places, like, you know, some people were just like, what the fuck's she doing here? Like a lot of the girls weren't very inviting, and that makes sense. I look back now and it's like, yeah, like why is she here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were some of like the signs of things that you'd like when reflecting back on it now? Like, what were some of the things that like that you, I guess, the flags that you missed?
Yeah. So
Like,
in the early days, it's just, I think it's really early, like around then, it's just that hot and coldness. It was like the respect and the disrespect. And then it was just like, but I didn't have like the sense or anything to really make of it then. I just thought things were, you know, hot and cold. But then, you know, I'd be like, do you want me to leave? And he'd be like, no, like, you know, stay. And then, yeah, it's just that, it's, I guess, where the walking on eggshells kind of begins. But it just happens so subtly. And yeah, I think I had no really understanding of love as well. So there's a sense of belonging, you know, and when things were good, someone's choosing me. I don't have like, you know, this world's exciting. Like it's,
and in a way, you were probably a little bit reliant on him too, right?
yeah.
And do you think that he probably knew that?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I've never thought of it like that. But yeah, the fact that I was there, unofficially living there, and every time I, like, because my mum was up and down, she was in a state, she was up and down, but there'd be, you know, maybe a day or two where I would go back to mum or dad's, like, for a breather, or like in between, like, I'm not really sure of the timeline, but there would just be moments, and he'd always say, you know, bring more clothes back here, and I'd be like, oh, cool, okay. So then, yeah, over that period, all of a sudden, all my stuff is at his place. But then, yeah, the moments would be so up and down, so hot and cold. I would want to leave. Like when I did try to leave a lot of those times, and that's when arguments would start breaking out. And it first began with my possessions. So, you know, if you leave, I'll flush your things down the toilet, or, you know, or starting to throw it around, or like physically holding me back. And it was really confusing. And I was fearful, but it's like at the same time, it's like, yeah, I don't really want to go home, but I want to stay. Like, it's just, yeah, it's such a confusing time because, you're becoming fearful of this person, but you also can't, like, you don't have, like, you mentally aren't, like, processing it like that because it's so quick and so rapid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, you only know what you know at the time, don't you? And you said you didn't know what it was,
Yeah.
what a real loving relationship was like, or
Yes.
how it should be
Yeah.
taken on board for yourself. And if you've got nothing to compare it to, well, how do you know what's
Yeah.
normal and what's
Yeah.
you know not right?
Yeah. And then I guess with like my dad leaving, and, you know, he wasn't violent or aggressive in any way, but it was so sudden that the first man that I loved and trusted and adored could leave. So it just becomes, you know, and then, you know, there's like instances in high school and stuff, like, you know, it's just high school boys and, you know, you date and nothing would ever seriously happen, but it always, I'd start feeling like I'm not enough, or this is just, you know, this is just like what men think of me, or like, you know, I'm not good enough, so this is just what love is. So during that time with, I guess, the hot and cold and the leave but don't leave, it was just kind of like, oh, this is normal. But what also was happening, which is interesting in the background, is I was slowly breaking, like my identity was slowly being picked apart. And I was also becoming isolated from my group of friends, my network, which is also so subtle how it happens. And you think that this is love and you'll do anything to make it work, and, you know, and it just, you know, deleting your social media, MySpace back then. Yeah. Because it was things just like my top 8 being picked apart. Like, studied and picked apart. So I was like, I'll just delete it. And then I think Facebook had just started, and you know, you go and you're adding your whole like friendship group and circle, and it was just causing issues over who's that. So yeah, it's just easier to delete.
I've got a question for you. Your ex was this something that he had never previously done in any other relationships, or
No, not that I'm aware of. Yeah.
it was just like it just started?
Yeah, it's
I don't know if I got what I wanted to get across then. You're usually pretty good at rewording what I'm trying to say.
I think you did all right there.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
You did all right, buddy. Okay.
No, it's just that's an interesting way to look at it, because I hadn't thought of that. But all I can say is, like, you know, when that was happening on in the early days, it was so subtle that you don't even think anything of it at the time. But I mean, to outsiders looking in, they're starting to get a bit worried. Like, my mum was called, you know, because the police were there, and they were, so my mum got called, and this is when she could see, like, what is going on, like, starting to realise that there's something happening. But I was just in denial. I was telling the police.
Can you just move Jess's mic up a little bit? Just to give her hand some space.
Thank you. They're starting to move.
Is that dropping down? Grab yourself a drink while you're at it.
Thank you.
Is my mic all right?
Yeah, yours is fine.
Yeah, good.
Thank you.
No, that's all right.
My passionate hands are coming out.
No, that's okay. It's okay.
That's why I got these bad boys.
It just slowly moved down a little bit.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, and I guess that must have been really hard for you too, because you wouldn't have really understood what was going on, but you're also stuck in this like conflicting feeling too, like
Yeah.
of like, I want to stay, but I'm not really sure what's happening either, and so that in itself is a sign that whatever's happening probably isn't great, right?
Yeah, I didn't, like, even when the police came and they put like a temporary DVO on us for that weekend, and I was yelling at them. I was like, what the fuck? Like, and he ended up contacting me over the weekend anyway, and he's like, you know, he was crying, like, Jess, like, I miss you, like, what's going on? Like, you know, this isn't right. And I was like, no, like, you know, we both had to appear at court on Monday. He's like, you'll be there, won't you? So we both appeared, like, you know, we're there on Monday, put on a brave front. And yeah, I was just like, this is wrong. I don't need this. I'm not fearful. Like, it's just, like sitting here now, I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, the signs were there, but I just was still so wounded that I didn't really fit in with my other friends. Like, I didn't, you know, I always felt like I was a bit of the black sheep, or I didn't really fit in there. Like, you know, I'm still good friends with them now, and they, you know, they love me and I adore them. But yeah, I just, it's just that sense of belonging. So I guess you mix that in with the thrill and excitement of what it feels like, the up and down, like the adrenaline and stuff. And yeah, it starts to become a bit addicting, but then it's also like, I didn't know where else to go or what else to be. But then also all my stuff, it's, you feel a bit stuck, but then it's like, this is what I deserve.
Can I ask, what would be some of the signs that you saw before it started getting physical? Because I think that's quite an important message to try to relay to some of these. Yeah. Well, to the people that go through this. Yeah. Because like it gets missed. Yeah. Like, you know, there's a lead up to that point. Yeah. What would be some telling signs from going just from verbal to, you know, picking your life apart, then to crossing that line? Well, all the lines were crossed, but you know what I mean. Yeah, in my experience, and I guess my situation, it's taken me a long time to actually realize, because I just, you know, I had to do a lot of healing, but to actually realize where and what happened. It was that right there from the start. Like, it was, you know, it was the hot and cold, the like on his, like, you know, he wanted to meet up or hang out on his terms, or like, you know, it's just, and it was so unpredictable. Like, it would be like, oh, you know, we'll hang out this weekend, and then you'd be like waiting for a call. Like,
and then it'll come like the next day, but you know, it's just like that's how like low my self-worth and self-esteem was. But then it just, but I tolerated it because this was exciting.
Yep.
It's like, despite all the pain and like and everything, it's like it just, in some way I felt seen and accepted, even though it was bare minimum and it wasn't. But when I did get that, it was nice. I don't know if nice is the right word, but to young me there.
It
You know,
felt, it
yeah.
felt good at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess you throw in like, you know, the binge drinking, the addiction, like the social partying and all that, you know, there's always something to do. There was always every day. Yeah. So it was just more chances to escape. So as time goes on, you start becoming bonded. You start becoming addicted to each other. You start like, but I missed I missed the signs where deleting social media, being like starting to get paranoid over guy friends that have been in my social circle, like the friend that introduced us, like they've been good friends, like just little things like that. And then I guess when we would be out drinking, this guy looked at you, why are you looking at him? Just, you know, the aggression that starts coming with that. Yeah. But to me back then, like
that whole jealousy trait.
Yeah.
It's almost
That
like
subtle jealousy.
possession.
Yeah. But
Those are the kind of, like, from what you've not putting words in your mouth, but like just hearing that, it's just like, you just like it was a possessive thing.
Yeah, it was, but it feels like protection, and I think that's where
That's what it's masked.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think like for me, I just didn't have the awareness to know like that love like shouldn't feel controlling, or you know, it shouldn't feel angry or jealous, but it would be masked as like, you know, I love you, like, you know,
How old were you when all this started?
So this was I was 17.
Okay.
And then just turned 18 when this was all unfolding. And then that was at the end of my year 12. Then going into that next year, which I took as a gap year, stupidly, thinking I'd go, you know, I'd enroll in something. I just needed a year. The drinking and the, you know, the bendering and like the social, like that quickly turned into like a heavy ice addiction. So we were introduced to that, and that's when everything escalated, all the behaviours.
And that time of your life too, like you're at such an impressionable age too, like there's huge fork in the road there. Like you either go one way or you go the other way. And a lot of us choose the harder route without really knowing what the consequences of that are, like further down the line. And that leads to all sorts of bad shit. And
we go the path of least resistance, don't we?
Well, even though there's a lot of resistance in it,
it
seems like
that was the easy path at the time, and you know, like
that's right. Okay,
it definitely enrolling in uni and studying and finding like that definitely felt like the harder path for me.
Yeah,
and then the path that I was on and the life that I was on, we were literally just living day to day, hour to hour. But my sense of self or whatever I had it was slowly deteriorating. So I was also being called names, and that started to break me over time. And it was
the verbal abuse.
Which it didn't seem like, it is. And it's words that, you know, cut really deep and, you know, really dig at that sense of belonging wound. Things that I already felt indifferent about would come out, like I'd be called, and you know, I hadn't even heard some of those names before, and I'd be called that, and also, and you know, told that no one else is going to love you but me, and you're this, you're that, and
that's part of that manipulation.
He's already feeding you your weaknesses and then piling it on more.
And so like it's interesting because it's hard. It's hard to know if it was, you know, it was conscious, like. I mean, it was because that was his behavior and stuff. But then it's kind of just like, like as you said, it shocked everyone. It shocked his friend group. It shocked, he would you know, he would never, like, I didn't really speak about it as well, but like years after, he was just like, I never, you know, did any of that stuff. And like there'll be people that were aware that, you know, some things were going on and everyone would be a bit shocked. That's not like him. He'd never do that. And his words were, I've never treated a woman or this, like, you know, I was raised by a single mum. Like, yeah. Yeah.
So he wasn't just manipulating you; he's manipulating everybody else with his words too.
Yeah.
Because he's making himself out to be a good guy. Essentially, when he is a terrible guy.
But people close to him and his friends and, you know, people that he'd grown up with too, like, said, like, just some of the ones that were probably around, you know, when things escalated, but just would, you know, a lot of them would be like, that's not him. Like, you know.
So it's almost a justification though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's almost justifying the behavior because, but that's not him. He's not usually like that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, actually.
Was it that was it they just didn't believe that he could be like that, or was it they were trying to justify what he had done? Like it was like a once off, or it was he wouldn't usually do that.
Yeah, well, so when when like the ICU started, like, you know, that I didn't even know what it was when it got brought around. I didn't know what to do with it, but yeah, that just turned into a few days with no sleep, and then the no sleep turned into like psychotic, like aggressive behavior, like you know, tell him like just in front of people, like whoever was there, and so things like that would just be a snap sometimes, or it'd just be the paranoia, like, you know, you'd be sitting here like in a socials, like there'd be a group of you, and like I'm in my own world, but then from across the room he would be like, why stop, what like what the fuck, Jess, why are you checking out my mate, blah blah blah, and I was just like, whoa. Yeah. And so then I would want to leave, or I'd be uncomfortable, I'd try, you know, I was just like, what the fuck, and then I'd always have someone being like, you know, he's not like this isn't him, like, you know,
it's just the drugs.
Everything's okay. Yeah. But in my head, I was like, oh, okay, so if he's not really like this isn't him, like things will get better. Like this is just a spur of the moment.
Yeah. So it wasn't just him manipulating you, it was his friend circle too.
Yeah, I don't know. Or I don't know if they just never witnessed it because he had spent like, you know, some time in youth detention, and maybe before that he wasn't, you know, maybe something like he changed after. I don't know. Maybe it was new and shock. Like, So I don't know. It's hard to
pinpoint stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
And then you find yourself retreating and isolating more because, you know, you're worried that you're talking or looking at someone the wrong way.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of back to just, I don't want to, how will I word this? That's a long pause. I'm just going to come back to that because I don't want to.
Yeah.
You find yourself isolating and then just being, I guess, kept isn't the word.
Well, you're back to square one.
Well, you're back to square one. You're back to almost like a possession, and
you've regressed again.
Yeah. You're good at this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely learned to watch my behavior. I learned to, like, even walking down the street, like he'd think, you know, he would be behind, or, you know, maybe a male would look at me and he's like, what the fuck? Like, why are you checking this person out? And I would be literally like staring ahead in my own world, like in ADHD land or wherever, or just dissociated. But yeah, it would be that a lot. So I definitely learnt to behave in a way that didn't aggravate that. I did not make eye contact with people. Like, I would walk looking down at the footpath, or in social situations I started to learn to look away, look down, like to like make sure that there was, you know, no conflict. I would start watching, you know, listening, like preparing what, you know, what I wanted to say. I would, you know, make sure
you'd script it.
In my head, because of like certain words or phrases, like,
you didn't want to agitate him, so you'd already pre-planned what you were going to say and stuff. So now he's controlling you and manipulated you so much that now you're having to change who you are just to appease him.
Yeah.
You know, and that would have been really hard. That would have been really hard.
Yeah. It's like my heart breaks. You know, my heart breaks for like me back then,
Yeah, your young self.
my young self.
Yeah.
Because that's just how lost and broken I was. That maybe like I didn't probably have that sense of identity that, you know, doing these things like it was just like, okay, this is what I do. Like, yeah, it's just, yeah, I didn't really know who I was. And then, yeah, I think as well, because, you know, who we were when we first met, and then because of the drug use and, you know, how that escalated things, and just the stuff, and, you know, how things progressed from that, and, you know, violence came out of that, but then it would just be that cycle of abuse. And that's what gets you, you know, you all as well as being, you know, addicted to drugs, you're addicted to each other almost in a trauma bond way. But then there's also the cycle of abuse. So there's the walking on eggshells, and then there's the actual, you know, event. Then there's the apology, the remorse, and then there's the honeymoon stage. And it would be that stage that just kept me that was, yeah.
Because when it feels good, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so sorry. I've never done that. I don't do that. You know, I love you. Like, you know, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And so those moments were just like all I needed. That was enough to kind of forget everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so how long did this all go on for?
It was over a period of 3 to 4 years, but there were lots of moments of separating, coming back together, separating, coming back together. I went to rehab twice. He went to jail. I tried to live in Sydney. He got out. I went and met up with him. Like, it was just that, I think, attachment and that trauma bond. And then it was back in that honeymoon stage, like, you know, clear head, like, look, we're doing good. We're talking, like, you know, maybe we can be mature this time. Yeah.
Hope.
Yeah. I like the person he was before the drugs started, even though now that when we sit here and there's behaviours that I probably, you know, should have been aware of from the start, but I didn't know better. But I held on to that person, that healthy person, and idea of him. Yeah, the good in him.
Yeah.
So when things would get bad, when I go to rehab, like, it was, then I would feel guilty because I would want, you know, to help him, and I'd want to give him a chance, and knowing that he didn't have that much support and this wasn't always him, I would put myself back in these situations in order to help him, try and fix him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess just hearing that, it's kind of like you hold on to that hope of them being that person that once were, and not understanding that's now who they are.
Yeah. 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 That makes so much sense.
You know, because
Yeah.
you're clinging to that last little bit of hope that that's what they were like, and
this isn't
you know,
him.
people
And
you think people can change, and I'm sure people can, but
sometimes people change for the worse.
They change. That's exactly it, and they don't go back to how they were. So that's I'm guessing that was part of that cycle you're talking about.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Like that's a really hard and this is why I'm so passionate and why we do what we do, because of addiction, and to, you know, watch people's soul literally get taken from them is really, really hard, because you have that hope, and you know, and now you understand mothers and people, like, that's my little boy, like, you know, and it's true, because that's what kept me going back despite all the bad, despite the fear, you know, and yeah, that's, you know, the violence, the situation, things escalated quite severely. I was, arrested quite a few times because he was known to police, but then there'd just be situations my whole life, and that's why I say I'm so lucky to be here, because I was placed in situations, or I chose to be there, but there were some really dark, fucking scary situations that also you know, being a girl and being in that world is pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
But it's that, still not knowing my worth, I'd feel guilty every time I'd get, go to rehab or that I got that opportunity. I felt really guilty and bad. Like I just, know it, yeah. But I think I was still trauma bonded. And I still had, I went to rehab and got over the issues at the time. So I was prescribed Xanax for anxiety. I started having panic attacks really badly when I was with him. Didn't know what it was, but got prescribed Xanax. Also didn't really know what they were, but just knew that people wanted these. They were worth quite a bit, but also if you took a couple and drank on them, it was a really good time, but it was also it was just that numbing, hey, because it was just a week, what, where's that gone? So that was really that was destroying my life too and our relationship. And things got really scary around that time. So he actually ended up in jail. He was on bail or something. So he got pinched and I ended up at rehab. So I didn't think I had an addiction then either. So, but
No.
I got,
We usually don't when when we're in it.
Yeah.
You don't think about it like that.
No. Yeah, I didn't. So I got off the Xanax and I got healthy and I started getting awareness. I started learning. I also didn't think I was in a unhealthy relationship. So, but I do know that some things were pointed out in my therapy and stuff. So the seed stuck, but I just wasn't ready. I was still.
Well, you had nothing to model off either.
Yeah.
This was your first major relationship, right?
Yeah.
Out of teenage life, or started within teenage life. So,
and other than your dad, a real strong male presence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then your mum and your dad split, so there wasn't a healthy situation there. So all of these things play a massive part, right?
Yeah.
And then especially not having that model of what healthy relationship is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Because at that point you're just winging it.
Yeah.
And you're just doing what you can.
Yeah.
Right? And
and I guess I get the mental side of things really got to me too, because those words no one else will love you, or all,
Do you feel as much as physical abuse is painful, do you feel the psychological abuse was just as bad or even worse?
Yeah. Because I mean the physical abuse is quite painful and shock, but it's it's over a lot quicker than the emotional and the other types of abuse, verbal. That abuse I think fucks with you more.
Because it's something that you just sit with,
You can't unhear it. It's stuck.
And then it's something that ruminates.
Yeah.
And then did you start believing what he was saying?
Yeah, 100%. That's part of the reason why I kept going back. And I thought this was all that I deserved and that he did love me. And this was, this is what the life I'd created, and this is what I deserve. But then, and also when I'd start to get healthy or clean, and then it was just well, I've got to help him and save him too. Because this isn't right. This isn't fair.
No. So what did it look like for you when you decided to start to break away from him? What kind of position were you in then?
I think it's
obviously you'd been going to rehab and you'd been learning stuff about yourself away from him.
Yeah.
And so obviously that's planting seeds.
Was there
within your yourself, right?
Yeah.
Was there a moment where you were okay, that's it?
It wasn't a defining moment. I think each time you do leave and each time that you do get a little bit stronger deep down or something. I think something happens internally, whether you're conscious about it or not. But I know, every time you leave and give another chance, it's not exactly the same.
And you can't just say to somebody why don't you just leave?
Yeah.
Because it's not that easy.
Yeah.
It's not clear cut.
Yeah.
Like that. Like you say, there's many things that connect you and the reasons why you keep going back.
Yeah.
And so it's not that clear cut.
No.
I've always been a little bit when people say that to people, oh, why don't you just leave? It's dude, it's just not that easy. Like I mean, I've never been in this situation, but I can see common sense would tell you that it's not that easy just to leave.
I just with a little story here.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was doing Uber driving, and I picked up a woman after a Christmas party, and she just started opening up to me about her relationship, and it was a very abusive and nasty relationship. And me, being a bit younger, I was like, "Oh, why don't you just leave? Why don't you just leave?" And then talking to her then and there, you know, she was like, "I've got nowhere to go. I've got no one to help me." And I'm like, "Well, I'll wait for you. I'll let you pack your bags and I'll take you somewhere." And that, you know, she was really like thankful for it. But, you know, I dropped her off at home, and you know, it is just the fear when he rocked up and saw me dropping her off. You know, she had to quickly come up and make up a lie.
Yeah.
To try to de-escalate what was going to happen. And it's just that hot, like the hold that he had on her and the fear that was instilled, and she was fucking scared, you know, petrified for her life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is, you know, when people say, why don't you just leave? Why don't you just leave? Like, I got told that all the time. And everyone from the outside, what the fuck are you doing? Like, seriously, like, and, you know, yeah, like still, you know, for a long period of time, like I was like, you know, what the fuck is she doing? Like, you know, it's that whole like sense, you know, people thought because I was from this area and, you know, I went to a girls' Catholic school that I was this private school girl. I might have looked like that from the outside, but I didn't feel like that. And so, you know, I would get judged so harshly in that world, but I, you know, no matter what I did, it was just like, yeah, it was, yeah, everyone close to me is like, what the fuck are you doing? If anything, that made me like want to stay more because I was like, well, you guys don't get me. You don't understand me. I had so much, and doing the work that I do now, it was so much like anger, I guess, inside, so much emotion, which, you know, ultimately is so much pain, confusion. Yeah, it was just so much pain so strongly inside, especially that repressed anger. I was angry at mum, I was angry at dad, I was angry at myself. Like I was just angry at the world. That anger and all that stuff I was holding in was a reflection of the stuff I was allowing and doing to myself. Yeah. And so that question, why don't you leave, you're like, it's you know, besides like the addiction with like actual substances and stuff, the relationship itself is almost like an addiction because your nervous system is so like just like dysregulated, and you get addicted to that sense of survival. That
And the highs, you're getting dopamine from the
Yeah.
highs, from the good times.
yeah.
Did you feel like you had somewhere safe to go?
Yeah.
Like you weren't
Yeah.
just not leaving because you had nowhere else to go or anything like that?
No,
Like
good question. At the time, no, I had, you know,
blinkers on.
There were a few times I was like admitted to the psych ward. That meant like for a few things, like, you know, I became suicidal. I also, you know, wanted to end things in the moment, but I don't know if I just wanted to escape. Like if it was just fear, like when things escalated, like I don't know. Yeah, but in the moment, I just wanted to end things, and there were a few instances as well as the police. There was like hospitalizations, and so they, you know, my dad would always get called, and he would be there. It makes me want to cry.
That's what dads do, mate. And it doesn't matter what you're going through, they're gonna.
Yeah, it just wasn't enough. Like at that time, because I had so much anger.
Right. Take your time, mate.
Take a moment.
Take a moment. Have a breather. It's all good.
Yeah, he had to pick me up, like, from hospital, like, and yes, like the like mental health wards, like, you know, quite a few times, like, and just, you know, it like, I knew it was like breaking him, but I was just so consumed in my stuff and just also so angry, but didn't know I was angry at the time. It's just, and I'd go back to his, and that's not where I'd want to be. And then he'd start putting the control down, like, you can't text, you can't give me your phone, like, you know, you're staying here. And then I'd just be like, like, you know, the alarms would go off, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like you can't escape the controls.
Yeah.
Controllive.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting it controlled here,
Yeah.
but then you potentially going to your safe space and then
Yeah.
being controlled again.
Yeah, which but you know, my dad was doing it from love.
Oh,
yeah. No, I know,
Big
but
difference.
not in. Yeah, but in
But
my head,
at the time, I would
Yeah.
assume. Well, not
Yeah.
assume, but you know.
yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right.
It's like, yeah. I mean, yeah. I just, you know, and it's really like it's not messed up, but not, but you know, for such a period of my life, especially in high school, like, you know, I didn't understand why dad left. Like, I understand now, but at the time it was just like this, you know, it was this big wound in me that I tried to cover up and tried to escape. And, you know, I look back now and, you know, like, I understand it, and, you know, things might have been different, but also in those times of tragedy, and so, like, my dad would be there, and we would start to get closer. Oh, I don't know. And I'm really so lucky to have my dad and the parents that I do, and that he was there those times. Like, that to me, like, I've really healed that relationship with him now that I'm older.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that's healthy love. That's what males do. Like, but yeah, I didn't want to be there. Like, you know, when you go, like, the pain in me was just so bad. It's almost like I didn't want them to see me like that, and they didn't understand me. I needed to be back where, like, I was disrespected but seen.
Mm.
Yeah.
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 It's a horrible cycle, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So what did it look like when you started breaking away? Like,
Yeah.
who was Jess in that moment?
Yeah.
Like,
So,
when you sort of started to find your feet.
yeah, there were, like, in between, there was the rehabs, and there were glimpses of healing. There was, you know, therapy here and there. I think I was just, like, my problem was, and I still do, you know, and I have gone through forgiveness, which I think is important, and I can talk about that after. But yeah, I think it's just, I could see who he was. Like, I could see the pain in him, and stupidly, that's what kept me unsafe, though, because of that, everything else was clouded. So I think over time, with all that time away and just things got scarier and scarier. Like, you know, every time I went back, it got worse. Like, and I think that fear, and yeah, I was starting to see him for not that person that's wounded, and I was actually starting to see that he might never get out of this, and also start to see him for who he was slowly. And yeah, over time, it got to the point where it was just like, you know, yeah, this isn't good for me, but I don't know how to step away. And it would happen more. But yeah, the other thing was, like, he had been openly, like, cheating on me with this other, like, someone else, like, pretty much since the start. And yeah, and in denial about it, but I was very aware that was going on, and, like, yeah, she would call me and stuff. So that's where the anxiety and stuff started coming from. And I think it just got to the point where it was just like, this is too much. I do want to leave, but I don't know what life looks like, but I am going to leave. And my mum started coming back and spending more time here. So I, like, you know, I had somewhere that I could go, and I would leave, but then there would be threats. There would be threats, you know, that to us and, like, our home, and then there would also be threats of he was going to do something to himself, like, yeah. So I think
So all the manipulation tactics, he's throwing
Yeah.
everything at you from the book,
Yep.
essentially.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And that was just over time, especially as I started to spend more time with my mum and, like, you know, have a safe place to go. And actually, yeah, I mean, I always had a safe place to go, but, you know, something in me was changing that I was allowing there, and I was, you know, yeah, I was getting more support, I think. And I started to, Mum was taking me to therapy and she was taking me to like healers and stuff in between. So I was starting to, you know, I couldn't work out, but I was starting to feel like strong and a little bit better in myself. I started to, you know, I couldn't go to our local shopping centre. That would give me anxiety. And then one day I was able to just go and walk in the crowds and not have that feeling. I started being able to look up instead of look down, like, and that was starting that in I guess that healing and that's like, yeah, that life in me was starting to happen.
Like a new sense, the beginnings of the new sense of freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And a new freedom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're just finding all of those really small things, you know, like you say, just looking up. Like
Yeah.
that's huge for somebody who
Yeah.
hasn't been able to do that.
Yeah.
Because they've
yeah.
always had something controlling that
Yeah.
ability, their ability to look up and look
Yeah.
around at other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it wasn't until I was like walking through that shopping centre, Mum was like, look at you. And I was like, and it's like those moments to me, because I was so dissociated or trying to escape for so long, like those are the moments where I actually started to feel alive.
Yeah.
But I still had this fear. I was still looking over my shoulder at times. I still had the threat. So, yeah, it was just becoming, it was like, yeah, it was kind of like, yeah, I guess it was when the threat started happening to like my mother's home that, you know, I was like, you know, this isn't okay. She was actually going through other stuff with, yeah, there was other stuff as well that was happening that she didn't feel safe. And it was just like this time where it was just like, yeah, this isn't okay. She actually ended up having this person that came and stayed for a bit that he was actually like working on our gate and he was an ex-security guard. And he having a male as well start to explain like this isn't fucking right. I guess because I didn't have much of that around me. Like I had my dad and stuff, but you know I was like, you know, that doesn't count. But for him, I remember him, and he was, I think he was Scottish or something, and like I just remember like he wanted to shake me and he's looking in my eyes, and I remember look how serious, like this is not fucking right, like this is not okay. And that's when I guess things started to click too, and it was the threats and stuff that kept happening. And yeah, I ended up getting a DVO out on him. I was really scared to do that.
No, you stay relaxed, man. I'm just making.
Yep.
It was just
Yeah.
just trying to make sure there's no technical issues.
You're right, mate.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was really scared to do that because it was the first time I'd have to just like admit in a formal setting to things that was going on. But I also knew, like, you know, a piece of paper wouldn't stop him, might provoke him more. And the process of it was when we went to court, he rocked in, like, and I was sitting next to, like, the lawyer and my dad, like, and our lawyer was a big guy. But, yeah, he rocked in and, like, just stood me straight in the eye, like, how the fuck could you? And just like, yeah, he was off his head and just like, how the fuck could you? Like, you know, like had the paper and he threw something at me. It was like a piece of jewelry or something. Yeah. And and then he left and he didn't even come in the court or anything. And it was just like, well, I was like, so in that moment I was like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. Yeah.
And it's funny how someone from that's totally like you were talking about the man at the gate dude, that someone removed from a situation, you know, really knowing nothing about it, to still just be able to say, like you said, what the fuck? That, I don't know, that's been a catalyst for many people and for myself when someone's removed. Just letting you know how, not letting you know, but
yeah,
just saying that, like you said, this isn't right. And
yeah,
I guess that was, I want to wake up, not a wake up, I guess a wake up call to.
Yeah, it's weird.
Maybe not a wake up. Yeah, I'm just going to go with it because I don't know how else to put it.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, it's weird because it's like the same thing happened to me.
Realization.
Yeah, it's like when I was like in like really bad in my addiction as well, like years later, the same thing happened. Like it was, you know, a random like person who said, you know, like none of this is okay. Like you need to get help or something. And it's just like that sticks more than anyone closer to you. And I don't know what it is, but it's like, yeah, it's, you know, not but in that moment, it saves you, and you don't question it, and you just know it like that. So
It's because it's like a logical point of view, and there's no attachment, there's no feelings.
That's
It's
right.
just from a logical point of view that's fucked.
When I was in my late teens, early 20s, I went through a phase because I just lost a mate, and I was pretty wrapped up in drugs and partying too, and I would always have these burning questions that I couldn't ask anybody close to me because these were personal questions, and so I would literally stop old people on the street and ask an old person,
wow.
and you'd get the most honest response because all they're responding to is what you've given them, and and some of the most defining moments I've had were from complete strangers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you just feel the genuine like authenticity behind it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's something in that moment you're just like, okay, like yeah. And I feel like that with a lot of things in like my teenage years, I actually wished I had just that kind of person or something, or just that voice at times to be like, oh, what the fuck, this isn't okay. Because without that, you get so lost. You don't you're your own guide.
That's right.
Yeah, so
And it's almost like those people are just put there at the right moment, at the right time
yeah,
to kind of just give you that bit of a shake.
yeah, I definitely believe in that.
Like
Yeah,
a angel,
yeah,
I guess.
yeah, I do. I definitely believe in that. But I mean, yeah. So this happened, and yeah, I think like I started to like work on myself. Like you started to do therapy, re-engage with my old social circle of friends, like just slowly. I started to find, I guess, life or learn what life was outside of that very slowly.
Yeah.
And I still didn't quite feel like I belonged. I still felt like I actually, with all that, I started to have this shame for that time and behaviors and drug use. Like, I think there was this shame and darkness in me still.
Yeah.
But what happened was a few years later, we ended up rekindling. He just rang my phone at the right time or something, and I was so broken, and he got me in that moment, and we did start hanging out again, and he had changed. I wasn't as fearful. I still was, but I mean, he was slowly, like, the drugs were slowly getting to him, but I was still obviously trauma bonded because that was the attachment or the comfort that I needed despite the circumstances and despite the fear and what came with it. We secretly were just hanging out for a period of time, and I actually fell pregnant with my daughter, and that was the moment I think, we tried to make it work and he couldn't change or, put that lifestyle behind him. And that was the moment where I fully knew that it wasn't about me anymore. It was, I had someone else to look after and protect. And that was for the first time where I fully could, partly it was still quite a bit of fear, but the first time where I could move house, change my number, get it. Yeah, because it wasn't about me anymore.
Yeah. So now it's you and your daughter.
Yeah.
And are you fearful for what may happen in that situation now?
Yeah, absolutely. Still at the time, like I had a lot to heal and figure out, but my sense of protecting her from that horrible darkness and shit that I experienced in that world, but also be from feeling and like the things and the sense of escape, like just all those things I felt like was just I didn't want her to feel that too, so I just knew that different kind of survival and protection kicked in, and that was the only reason that I really started to feel strong enough to leave and then start to find myself.
Yeah, okay. Was there any signs of him going down a path with, like, was he around for your daughter? Like, was there any outbursts or couldn't control his anger that would suggest?
Yeah, there was. So when it happened, it was a surprise. Like I felt like I was young, but I remember the ultrasound lady being, when I was really nervous, asked me, why were you so fearful? And I was like, because I feel really young. Or, it was just, yeah. And she was like, oh, trust me, honey, you're not young. I was 23, yeah. But it was just, yeah, it was such a surprise. And I'd already knew, like, even when I was hanging out with him during that period, I also couldn't quite look at him properly because he wasn't the same anymore. And if I did look at him properly, it would break my heart, I guess, to see how he was changing and, his lifestyle and stuff was actually really starting to affect him. So I was a bit, dissociated.
Yeah.
But I guess that sense of belonging and just love and attachment inside of me was still that wound was still so big that I felt like, he's the only person that gets me, or when it's good, it's good. But at the same time, I knew that it had to be a secret. No, my friends and family and stuff couldn't find out about this because of all the work I'd done, and I could never put them back in that place of fear or worry. So it was just a secret.
So with that fear and worry, like, how did you raise this? Like, now I'm having a baby.
Yeah.
Like, how did that house of cards fall?
So when I found out, he was very excited. It's what he wanted. Yeah. I mean, it was a beautiful experience because it's what he wanted, and his exact words were, this will change my life. Like, please don't consider any other option. Like, we can do this. This is going to save me. And yeah, I mean, that was, the last thing I wanted to hear at the time, because I just knew that it would keep us tied together. But, in the end, I couldn't go through with any other choice. And, I am so grateful because, there's a reason for everything, and there was a reason that this happened. But it was really hard because, in a way, we were the only ones that knew.
Yeah.
And it was just like, how the fuck am I going to tell anyone? And, I said to him, like, you have to stay the fuck out of that life. Like, you cannot, that world, everything, the addiction, you cannot bring this around her. Like, this is, I didn't know it was her at the time, but this, you like that world, and that cannot happen. And he was like, yeah, like, I need this. And then it became very codependent because it was like every day I had to be with him because he didn't know how else to not be in that world. So it was just like, it was the only reason he wasn't, doing what he knew best is because I was sacrificing my time and energy and health to kind of babysit.
Yep.
And because also in my head too, I was doing work and I was starting to get some kind of love or respect for myself slightly, but it wasn't feel like, I was getting angry, feeling like a bit of it, that I had to look after him because, what I was going through and stuff too was starting to, I was starting to get sick and all that, and I wasn't getting looked after or that support, but I was putting that before myself. And then, what happened was, because I was so tired, and when I was just getting so tired and so sick that I was not meeting up with him as much. I just had to sleep, and Mum just kept saying, what's wrong with you? Like, you're sleeping all the time. You keep going to the doctor. Like, something's wrong. She joked. She's like, you're not pregnant, are you? She said that like 2 or 3 times. You're not pregnant. I was like, no, Mum, everything's fine. And then what happened was, I just knew. I always had this feeling and instinct when he was using again. And I just knew because I hadn't heard from him that day. Old patterns would say otherwise. And, I wasn't really stressed or anything about it. But I got a phone call that night, and I immediately know from the tone in the voice and, that it had happened. And I just said that, I was like, that, that was a no. that was a no-go. Like, I have to put myself first and I have to put this baby
Nail
first.
in the coffin.
It was, yeah, because it was, that was huge, because I guess that world and all that and the people that were starting to come from it, because, you know, the scene changed and the people who's hanging around changed a lot, and
And
that was
even over that
terrifying.
amount of time too, like the drugs had changed. The drugs were changing.
Yeah.
And so, and not for the better either. And
Yeah.
so what that was doing to people too was worse. Like it was really
Exacerbated
affecting
everything.
Yeah, it was really
Yeah.
affecting people's cognitive ability too to even just be normal people at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's what I think really happened to him. And, you know, they say I don't know, but I've heard that you get kind of frozen in the time when you start like using, and I felt like he was not developing, or he was still that, even the way he was dressing and like the way, it was like what was happening was, really like whatever that shit was. It was really starting to deteriorate him. So
Well done for
I was just about
done for
bravo to
for
be able
getting
to
to that point.
and the strength
Yeah.
and the strength and courage to just
And
cut him off.
And it doesn't matter how long it took to get there.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
you know, like that's all part of that journey, I guess.
Quest.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well
Yeah.
done for eventually getting there.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I feel, I don't know. I feel like that well done, and, you know, is strange because it's like you know, it was survival. But I know to sit here now and, like that's
Well,
huge.
you are a survivor
Mm.
because you're one of the lucky ones that made it out.
Well, yeah.
Because a lot of women don't make it out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that's and I guess that's half the reason why you're here
Yeah.
telling this
Yeah.
story
Yeah.
is because, you know, men need to do better.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took quite a while, I think. You know, when I did find out I was pregnant, and I eventually told my mum, and she knew, you know, it was a shock to everyone, but, you know, mum said that she will support me. She was actually about to move back to Thailand, and, like, you know, she said that she will support me. This is my karma as well. Like, and, you know, I tell Scarlett,
That's all right.
I tell her that all the time as well. You are my karma. You happened to me for a reason. You know, I'm growing up every day with her as well. She's growing, but I'm also growing and learning too. But it was, I guess I went into motherhood, and I was also surviving because this was a whole new identity, and it just took until, you know, she was a bit less attached to me. You know, she was still young, but it just got to this point where I just had this identity crisis, and I'm like, who the fuck am I? What is this life? Like who am I? I was still sort of in survival, not realizing, because I had this other, like, you know, I had this purpose to live for and get up out of bed. But, you know, yes, I guess when they get to the age where, they're sort of a little bit more independent, but, you know, they still need you. But, that identity and that, new kind of survival kicked in. And that's when I really had to face my shit. Because, I ended up like relapsing for like over a year. I relapsed. And that was like a really scary year, because, you know, all I wanted to do was just be a good mum and keep her safe from it. And I tried the best that I could, and I did, but I still, like, all the shit that I hadn't faced and like all caught up with me, and my coping mechanism and, you know, what I knew best, like, appeared in my life. And it was a different crowd this time. It was, you know, people that were working and like had jobs, and just not what I expected from the world that I was in. And for a period I was still working, having a job, keeping it all together, I thought, until I didn't. And I guess also I had to experience that world and stuff, which had also changed. As you said, like the substance had changed as well, and it wasn't the same, but it's still, you know, it was still addictive, and but it had new kind of demons with it. Yeah. So, it really got a hold of me, and all the shit that I wanted to numb and all, it was just bubbling away at the surface. And I went into psychosis a few times. And it just got so scary, and it just that I needed help. Yeah. And I needed that, my survival instinct, like for her, kicked back in too. And it was that whole time, but my shit got the better of me.
Yeah.
And
It happens.
yeah.
It fucking happens, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. And because I guess I'd never healed, I did work on things separately. I was in therapy. I'd work on a topic here and there. I remember leaving, I went through so many therapists. I remember leaving one day and I was so angry because the time was up. And, I think I was going it was in Carlton or something. So I was, missioning it there too for her. And I don't even know, I think she got recommended for what I needed. But I was so fucking angry because I shut the door because things had just come up and they were bubbling away. And I was, I didn't have an appointment for another week or two. And so it was just.
It's like, and then you got to sit in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just got to ruminate in that and just go, fuck.
If I remember correctly, you were saying that when we spoke a while ago over the phone, a lot of this happened during COVID?
No.
But
Nah, pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. And I mean that, my dad and my friends tell me all the time, I'm so lucky that I wasn't down there during COVID, especially Melbourne with the lockdowns and the restrictions, just because of being a single mum and just that isolation and whatever I was already feeling that, led me, it would have been really fucked.
Man,
That's right.
You're a tough individual, eh?
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just
Yeah.
fucking bravo.
So that was a really dark year for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's something that I carried a lot of guilt and shame about.
Yeah.
For, up until recently, because how could I do that?
I guess you just like you said, it's just a coping mechanism, right? And you're just doing your best.
Yeah.
And to be fair, everyone's just actually just doing their best.
Yeah.
There's the best they can. And even the people that you look at who look like they've got their shit together, no one's got their shit together.
Because
no one.
The other way you can, I look at my relapses and all that stuff is, imagine if I hadn't have done that.
Yeah.
What could have been, it's not an ideal situation, but
No.
the not getting that relief temporarily could have, for me, it could have ended my life.
Exactly.
Well, I guess the thing is,
so it was I don't want to say a necessary evil, but it was, I'm not getting that break that I need from myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So you just, I guess now in hindsight, you can use that as leverage to not go back to that place again. But at the time, it's like you said, you can only cope the way that sometimes if you haven't done the mental work yet.
That's it. And I guess a part of how I see our past is that if we're really happy with where we are right now, and those things didn't happen, then we wouldn't be where we are right now.
Yep.
And so it's kind of like it's all part of the grand plan for some reason, even though we forge our own path, it's I always bring it back to like a big wave surfer, like those guys who catch those massive waves, and it's like everything that person has ever done in his life has taken him to that big wave. And it's kind of like, and that's just that same metaphor for everybody. Like we all eventually get to that massive wave. Yeah. And
you're riding it. And it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's the most incredible thing.
Yeah. You guys both said that so perfectly. And I fully it took a lot of time to, understand that, and not, sometimes it's like, the guilt and the shame, one, you're not ready to face it.
No.
And two, sometimes you don't keep like it, you keep it there as well because it keeps you in that victim mentality. Yeah. And I wasn't saying to everyone, poor me, like, this, but to myself, it was like, how could you, like, it was serving my identity for a time because I wasn't ready to really deal or didn't know how to even work through that. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It served you a purpose for that period of time until you knew how to start your healing properly.
Yeah.
That's again, like I've been in
Yeah.
a situation like that myself, so I totally get that, and I'm like, don't beat yourself up about it because
I mean, I kept myself in an addiction for probably 10 years more than I needed to be.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't know how to escape it.
Yeah.
And so it was, and I sought no external help from anybody.
Yeah.
It was all just this going over it in my mind of the how, the why, the when, and eventually one day it just, the answers came to me and that was it. And it was, but
like I said, mate, it probably saved your life.
Yeah.
Don't condone it.
No.
I'm not endorsing doing
No.
that, but sometimes you just got to reach out for whatever gets you through that.
Yeah, that's the thing. And unfortunately, that was what my path led to. And it is when that's been your medicine for, you do, unless you start to really heal the root of it and you are ready and have the right support and you have to be ready. But until you do that, it is. Because I came up to rehab, moved up here, but also like there was still a few relapses. I moved my environment, thinking it was, not going back there. I was out of that world. Like, I'd done 2 months at rehab. Like I was like, I understood I was healed, but still like it was, when some things happened, it was the thing I went to and I seeked out and I knew, had, met some people that, could get it. And that's it. I changed my environment. I changed, I thought I'd healed. But I still seeked it out because it was the only thing that would make me feel better from more stuff that I was avoiding and needed to work through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really hard to turn that voice off in your mind, especially when you know you don't need it, but you've got this desire that you want it really bad.
It's instantaneous relief.
Yeah.
You can just have it, and then all of a sudden you're feeling good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you moved up to Queensland from Melbourne.
Yeah.
How did that go down with your ex-partner? Like bringing your daughter up here, was he on board with that, or
Was he in the picture still?
So what happened was, initially when I was pregnant and I had to, I needed to move, change my number and stuff, that was how I was going to keep her safe. And that got me through my pregnancy and, having a healthy pregnancy and being able to put that first and, start working on myself. Yeah, after she was born, it was just, I felt this a bit of sadness inside for him and her. Yeah. And I never wanted to not let it, I knew how badly he wanted this, and I knew, he wasn't ready and he didn't know how to leave that life, but I also didn't want to be, the person that got in between them. And I kept the communication open, but with boundaries. And
good?
I was very protective over that, yeah. And I would send him photos and to give him hope that maybe that would be enough. Yeah. But it ultimately, his journey is his journey. And he, I just knew, and I was a lot clearer and stronger, and my mama instinct, I guess, because you could just see the pattern, like when he would pop up and not, and there'd be periods of time, like months, and, and also just how cognitively, he was deteriorating because couldn't even remember, year of birth, But I did, I had a moment when she was like younger, and she also came out like with his eyes, and which is I tell her like it's that's like a beautiful part of him, and you've got the good parts of both of us. But I thought that would help, and I think I guess I don't know if it's maternal or what like the science is behind it too, but being a single mum and then raising a child as well, I didn't have a hope or fantasy of us ever being together, but I just knew the importance that his role could play if it was a different time. But I thought it might give him hope. So like I did meet up with him twice when she was younger, and like the first time was very brief and it was okay. Like she was only, still a few months old, and it was actually really nice. Like, it was still with boundaries, like it was in a park. It wasn't very long, and that was fine. But it was the second time when I met up with him, and he was, he wasn't sober, and it was just, it was just that protection of like, I needed to get her away from that, and that was sad, but it made it, it was a reality, it really and I knew as well that I had tried.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. You still tried your best to keep him still somewhat active in her life, and you can
you did more than many.
Yeah,
You did
absolutely
more than many would do in that situation, right?
Yeah.
And that wouldn't have been easy for you to do that either.
No, it wasn't. And both times I made sure it was in public places, and I really had strong boundaries with all that. But it was just seeing that he would, I don't think, ever be ready. I got rid of that kind of hope, but I still kept like the messages and communication open. So just things popped up from time to time over several years. Like that's just how it was. I get photos, but then I'd also start getting abuse, like abuse, it was just like, it was so like, send me photos, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, how could you? Like, it was just so much blame for so long.
it's misdirected anger, isn't it?
Yeah. And
so there's a deflection of his own
no kind of responsibility taken.
Like he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to accept his own fault, so he's projecting that anger onto you because that's what he knows to do.
Yeah, and I even to the point said like, I want you in her life, like take, let's do mediation, like go about it the right way. So, and he ended up taking me to family court, and I had to go through that process for quite some time because I don't know if it's the same up here, but in Victoria, it's both parents. They treat both parents equally, or give both parents a fair shot unless proven otherwise. So when you walk into that court, that's what you're walking into. So
it's a clean slate. You're both equal.
I guess it's like, no parent starts off on a upper foot or anything. It's just they kind of look at you until I guess. And so that process dragged out quite a bit because I just had like certain things like, parenting course, anger management, random drug screening. And it was just this whole like back and forth, like, no. Even to the point when I walked into family court and he was waiting at the security things to walk in, just like against a wall, like just waiting and staring. Like
still intimidating.
Yeah, so it was just, I guess, that as well. And it was just, and then the power he had in court, like to have to agree, not to agree to something. So he ended up saying that he'd only agree to all these conditions if I agreed. I said, absolutely, that's like, despite me being her sole parent, like I will agree to all that if it means you will. So we went through that process, for 6 months, almost a year, where I was being pulled out of work. I had to, do random drug screens. I had to do a parenting course and, anger management. Like I was doing all this stuff. And he just, he wasn't turning up to appointments. He didn't turn up to the final court hearing. He just, it was
just trying to make your life harder.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess, again, that was just me wanting to know that I had tried.
Yeah.
And that,
But that would have all played in your favour, right?
Yeah, the judge ended up saying, like, in the end, like, this is a waste of, all our time. Like, it was like strike one, strike two, strike three. Has he gone to this? Has he gone to, and his lawyer was actually, like, really embarrassed. And he wasn't even there.
Yeah.
And the judge just said, strike three, like, why are we wasting everyone's time?
Yeah, 100%. Should
Yeah.
have been strike one if it was that important to
Yeah,
him.
that's it. Yeah,
I'm
right.
sure to a degree it was, but
Yeah.
his life and
yeah,
addiction didn't allow it.
yeah.
But-
He had other priorities.
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So I guess for me, in my back of my mind, I was starting to see clearly, I was starting to see clearly where his priorities truly lay,
Mhm.
even if I instinctively knew it, and I knew that I had tried everything, but now I also had like a piece.
Okay, so now we're sort of broken free from him. You've come through these addictions that you've had with your daughter, been starting to grow up a little bit now. Where do we find ourselves now?
Yeah.
Now that we're sort of past all that, bring us into somewhat the present.
Yeah. So moved up here, which I'd been craving to do for a long time. So it was the time to do it. Changing that environment. And I thought I was, like you said, thought I was free, but no, that's probably when the real healing begun, really, because I'm out in life now. I've also changed my environment. So, I have to grow up, make connections, find my feet, and find my place in the world in a new environment with, not much support, not knowing anyone up here, just that fresh, kind of sober mentality. And that's the thing with rehab is you come out and you think you're so logically headstrong, you've got this glow, like you think that when you leave that bubble, you don't realize what, you're stepping into with all this that you've learned, but, you're in the world now. So, I think those few years, so that was coming out was the year of COVID, just before. So that start of that year. And it was just finding my place, like, who am I? But I only got to those learnings and, that deep shadow work because of so many, fuck ups, rock bottoms. Which was different, but I guess, I'm growing up now. I'm an adult. These are adult issues without the addiction, without all that. That was a big process. I did learn a lot and get to the root of a lot of things in rehab. It was a holistic rehab, so the mind, body, spirit kind of approach. Well, mind, body, but in that in turn, makes everything, I think, connects everything. It's not just, a clinical approach, and it's not just, one size fits all. And what you get in, I think, with any program or anything is what you get in is what you put out. What? Yeah. Was that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I was like, what you
get
get
out
in,
what you put in.
You get out what you put in.
Yeah.
And because of, because this was a really big fuck up for me, like it is for many people, but, I was away from my daughter. Like I, had this, this chance to actually really heal and recover. I was like, like a teacher's pet for the first time in my life because I knew I wanted to change and I wanted to get to the bottom of it. And I just didn't want to be the same. I didn't want the same patterns. I didn't want that, to keep affecting me, affecting my daughter. So I wanted to get to the bottom of why. I was in, I participated in everything, really dive deep into things during my therapy sessions, and I got a lot out of it and learnt a lot. But until I was out in the world and in life, I think, those next few years is where the true healing began, because the things that I wasn't consciously aware of, the things that were suppressed, the things that were stored, deep within me, that's when those behaviours and patterns started to come out, and for me to realise, there's still more healing to do.
Well, you had been suppressed for so long.
Yeah.
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 Like your authentic self
Yeah.
had been just just buried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't, it was like meeting my authentic self really for the first time, because that probably goes back to childhood at some stage where I did start repressing that. And yeah, so I spent most of my, life growing up and, my early 20s is just really just wanting to escape, dissociated. So yeah, when you asked me that question earlier, like what was it like growing up, teenage years, it used to be really, it was really hard to recall. It was, the good times and the bad times were just all a blur. And I was, I started to unravel and, learn and figure out why, I guess, after that stint in rehab. But, healing in rehab or doing the work in rehab or doing the program or being in that bubble world is very different than being in real life, because you will have triggers, you will have things bubbling away, you're not supported, you're not in that safe environment like you're in life. So yeah, I did. It was it was a lot. Like I was still trying to heal and work on myself logically. So, name things, or, this is what's happening. This is what I think it's linked to. And I just was going over in circles and talking, like, in therapy, trying different therapies, trying different therapists, trying different modalities, like just trying to figure out why.
Were things working?
For a short time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'd gain the awareness. I'd gain awareness, I'd understand, I'd make some changes, but then similar patterns would repeat again, or I'd be triggered or in different situations, or I just, I still just felt disconnected from myself, even though I was meeting myself and figuring that out. There was something, that was disconnecting me, and I still felt like I was trying to find my place. Yeah. And I tried to talk therapy that shit for all those years. And, get to the point where maybe I need a new therapist, or maybe, try a new therapist. Like, then go, periods of time where things are okay, maybe I've changed, and then boom, like, different scenarios, same patterns. I also had like a few relapses over those years, and I ended up back in rehab one more time. And that was the last time. Like I thought the time before that was the last time. But that time, the last time, that was it, because with who I was becoming or who I was meeting, and this awareness that I was getting and things that I was learning, and this self-respect that I was developing for myself, which, I probably didn't have for a long time. I was feeling stronger. I was feeling, so why the fuck did this relapse happen? Was probably the scariest thing. And I think I was really lucky to be given all the chances that I had, but like to have this moment. And I think that's when, like, I really got to the root of it that time in rehab. And I knew that, like, there were things there that I probably needed to start healing, and I just didn't know how the fuck to do that.
The thing is, you've gone, like, we all, well, I got to go through the childhood of learning all these things and, just naturally learning them as you go. But, if as an adult to learn them from pretty much scratch again, it's a totally different mindset, and just your brain's already developed all these extremely bad habits that how do you you haven't developed those bad habits as you develop them, but they're not as stuck with you. So,
it's just like the things that I was learning in the way, and I loved it. Like I was, diving into it, reading all the books, not finishing them all, but I'd start them, I'd read them over and over. But there were a lot of things, and you know, this whole, especially like for me, the holistic healing path, like it really resonated with me, and I was learning so much and getting so much awareness and figuring so much about myself. Like I could name my triggers, I could understand things, but why did I keep attracting situations, you know, that challenged me and my self-respect, or that put me like in, why was I still putting myself in those situations, and why was I still being triggered, or why was I still having this pain? Like, what was it? Like, and it got to the point where I did have that relapse, and it was really sudden, but it was really scary, because I guess, you know, the more I am doing the work and stuff, like I'm not really trying to numb and avoid anymore. Like part of me is, but not as much as when I was younger. So it does get scary, and the people in the world that comes with it. But, you know, just everything I could lose as well. But I just, like, even, you know, even in my head, I'm like, what the fuck, Jess? Like, but yeah, I think that last time I was really lucky to not have lost the things that, you know, I could have lost, and not have lost myself as well. Yeah. And yeah, that's it. I went straight back into psychosis that time, not, you know, in a short period. So to, you know, be back in rehab and to actually have a functioning brain and realize that I'm not going to be stuck in psychosis and that too. Like I, you know, I had to stop fucking with that, and just, you know, also like, you know, being a mum and just up here, this is, you know, I moved up here to get away from, you know, the world that I kept going back to down there. So I didn't want to fuck this up, because what am I going to do then?
Yeah. How far do you keep running?
Yeah.
The moon.
Yeah.
But nothing, it's just, And I even, like, I started to become conscious even in rehab. Like I brought up in a couple of therapy sessions, I think I know what I need to work on. I think this is coming up. Like I think this might be, you know, the darkness in me still. And I just wasn't getting met with the right tools or advice, or, you know, it was that bubbling away of things, or, you know, maybe it is that ugly or dark or not relevant. I'll just suppress it more. Yeah.
And then, like Sadhguru says, mate, fall down 99 times,
Yeah.
pick yourself up 100.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's it. That's it. Yeah. And you know, like the the stages of change model, you know, it's a cycle. So you can always jump back in somewhere that suits you, you know, like it's always going to end with a relapse, but you can always just jump back in on the action or the pre-contemplation, or, you know,
Yeah.
and
You don't have to start from one again.
you don't have to start right at the start again, you know? And so it's like every time you have a little relapse or a big relapse, you're still learning more about yourself each time. And so
Crawling.
yeah.
Crawling before you walk again.
100%. And something that was explained to me in one of my sessions as well. And it was just like, it's, you know, the more you can not go back to that comfort or that comfort zone. And that comfort zone was something that I'd known, you know, for most of my life, or half my life, or, you know, a very long time. So that was, no matter how bad it was or how scared, like that was just my comfort zone. So the more that I could, you know, change, you know, make a, you know, different decision is, the more that you're making a new comfort zone. But then, I guess that's why it kept drawing me back. But I wanted to, I didn't want to do that anymore. And
No.
I didn't know how. I thought I would be in therapy for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And
Well, I guess when somebody puts you into that kind of mindset, you know, where you question your own self-worth, and you question your own direction and your own purpose and all of these things, because it's been stripped away from you.
yeah.
You know, how, you know,
That's what you've lived.
that's what you've lived, and I
Yeah.
guess that's how you feel.
Yeah.
So from there, you've done all this sort of stuff, and now you're moving forward, and now you're one half of Unbreakable Spirit Co.
I was about to jump into this part now.
So talk us how you became part of that. Yeah.
How did you meet? How did you meet
How
the
did all
man
that-
Sam? And
Yeah.
how did you let yourself trust again?
Yeah.
To be honest,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a huge
that's a
question.
big thing,
Yeah.
because a lot of I I'm not going to. I can't speak for everyone, but you know, I would imagine it would have been quite hard to let the barriers down and let another man in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was a process. It's so we met that second last time in rehab, you know, when I did move up here and, you know, I was working there for a bit, and that's how we connected when he came in, and we just we met each other and we connected straight away. And you know, it was also, I guess, being in that bubble world, you know, and him being up in the retreat, like, you know, it was a, you know, what's the word? It was a connection that we felt like pretty strongly, but, you know, also it wasn't reality, and we were both still on our healing journeys and healing paths, and, you know, it definitely wasn't the right time. And I think for me, it definitely taught me a lot that I needed to heal. And, you know, I think the same with Sam. And I think, you know, we went our separate ways, and then we came back together when he got out. Because we do come from such, you know, big, traumatic, different worlds. Yeah.
Still trauma.
Yeah, it is. It's still trauma. Like, our worlds, our lives are so different, but it's still trauma. So, a lot of the work that I had done and thought I'd done as well, a lot of it got really brought to the surface when we got back together when he got out. As they say, like, you know, good relationships will do that. And, you know, I think in relationship comes a different type of healing, because suddenly, you know, someone's holding a mirror up to the shit that you are trying to not face, or you don't know, you know is there, but you don't really. So you know, this person that you know are closest to and do trust, you know, it's coming out in that way. You're triggered, like, you know, so, you know, a lot of things did come out, and it still does at times. Like, we're still learning and growing, but learning to trust was like, it's still a process, but, you know, it's learning to trust yourself, I think, for one. And I think, you know, with learning to trust, especially when you've been, or when I've been in the situations that I have, like, there can be a lot of fear behind it. And fear isn't a good thing, really, at the end of the day. But it's just, it's the more, how do I explain it? I think the more you trust yourself by healing that stuff that, you know, that was driving the show, I think the more you trust that everything is going to be okay, you don't get so caught on, and I use this word because, like, you know, in behaviors that I wasn't healed, like, especially in the relationship, you can get caught on controlling outcomes, or get, you know, like,
Especially when you had no control.
yeah.
So now that you've got this refound sense of self, like, and part of that would be like having control or autonomy over yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, it's controlling, like, you know, for me, it was like just controlling myself from pain and being hurt and being in that place again. So you can subconsciously start, you know, trying to control things or dynamics. And so that was like a rough, you know, hurdle for us to go through. And it really was like, it was, I don't want to say the word journey, but
mate, the guests can call it whatever they want.
It's been a quest, because we've really brought out the dark parts in each other that were still there. And that have been needed to heal. And I have also started to, like, you know, really trust myself and feel safe within myself, and in our dynamic too, that things can come up. that do need to heal. But, you know, for, you know, the first few years, it was the same, triggered, reactive, all these fights. And we're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, we love each other, but why do like these same old fights keep happening? Like, why? At the end of the day, it's not even about us. It's about the shit that we brought into us that we hadn't healed, you know. And a really like good way I used to look like I used like to look at it, and we're both like on top of our fridge, we've got photos of us as toddlers, because it is like when you are arguing and when you are disconnected and stuff, like really they're just that inner child inside, and you're just that inner child, and you're just begging, you know, for the love or connection or what you needed when those moments are happening. So I think that's a good reminder.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, we got married last year, and within, you know, we had probably one of the most stressful years of our life. And within a few months, we were just, again, in the same situation, like, what the fuck? And that's when, you know, Sam found breathwork, and he went and did it first. And I was a little bit skeptical, but yeah, I was just like, oh, let's just see, you know, what happens. And he came back, and he was just glowing. He was like, you know, because I was like, how do you feel? Like, what happened? What came up? Like, what's changed? And he's like, I'm just at peace. I was like, what does that mean? Like, what happened? And he couldn't describe it, but over time, and it wasn't about seeing the change, it was about feeling the change. Like, you know, at home, like, we could just feel that something was different. And in turn, you know, it kind of made me a little bit less reactive, like, you know, made my daughter, like, you know, a bit happier, because what we didn't realize at the time, but we were sort of starting to learn, but it was also like, how the fuck do we fix this? Was, you know, we all co-regulate off each other.
That's right.
Yeah. Co-regulation is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And the same, before we found the breath work, when we're coming together with disagreements, we're coming together completely dysregulated. So we're already like, you know, not going to hear each other, or not going to, it's, you know, it's already like not the right time to come together. So we didn't realize that that's what was happening. So yeah, so after he was doing the breath work, and he decided to become a facilitator, like, he's like, you know, this is the shit. Like, I really want to help people with this. And yeah, it was when he started doing the training that I was like, okay, like, I'm ready to do a journey. And yeah, for me as well, like, and it's really hard to put into words, like, you would know.
It is one of the weirdest experiences that I have done, because I went in there, you know, I was a bit skeptical. I didn't know how it worked, you know, the whole T-Rex hands and all that jazz. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, well, let's see what happens. And I only did it at a level 5.
Yeah.
And I thought I died. I thought I died. My brain was disconnected from my body. My brain's telling me halfway through it I'm hungry, and then I'm like, okay, now you can unclamp your hands, and I couldn't. And then the way out is fucking weird.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Give it a crack, dude.
Well, I've been doing breath work for years,
but not
like that.
not-
But like I've done extreme sports for many years, and you have to get yourself in. Yeah, you have to regulate your nervous system in order to be able to drop in on something, or do something, or you know, like, to be able to do that stuff. And so, like, I found it the most helpful when I was whitewater kayaking, because water terrifies me, and I'd be fucking terrified every time I'd about to drop into a rapid, and I would have to sit there in an eddy, and I'd have to re-regulate myself.
Yeah.
So that I could get myself to a point where I was calm enough to actually be able to pull the boat into the current and bugger off down the rapids.
Yeah, because I think the one that I did was just the nerve reset, I think it was.
Was it
the nerve reset? Just so you guys know who's watching, I'm not talking to just a random. Sam's also here. So
There's Sammy Jones here.
Sam, yeah.
You can check out his podcast with us.
Yeah.
From chaos to calm.
Yep.
Yeah, I got it right this time.
Yeah, this time you did, yeah.
And
but yeah, even just that, like, there's obviously different different ones that you can take, different quests, journeys.
Yeah.
But even just need some type, just flick that reset switch. Even that was great, and I can see how, like, I'm keen as a being to do the 5 traumas or the imprints of trauma. Is that what it's called?
That was my first one.
Yeah,
that I did,
I'm
yep.
keen to try that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we digress.
Yeah.
So going through everything that you had been through,
Yeah.
and now Sammy's come home with this newfound appreciation
Yeah.
for some breath work, and then you have stepped into the breath work too,
Yeah.
and then you've found it.
Yeah, I think when he came home with the breath work, it was make or break for us. Like, it was just like, do we keep doing this and end up resenting each other, or do we, realize that maybe this isn't working out? We could still love each other. But yeah, it was a really, really, really hard time, but we just couldn't keep repeating the same patterns. So when he did it, and just noticing the change in him, and then doing it myself, that first one, the 5 primary trauma imprints. Yeah, it was. Sam says I held back a little bit. I think I gave it my all, but because it was so new to me, I definitely can go deeper and do go deeper now. But that was still huge for me. But the change was so subtle, I didn't realize till about a week later. And I messaged Sam. I was out at the shops, and I said, "Oh my God!" I was like, "I've had no anxiety or social anxiety for a week, and I didn't realize how much it was controlling my life, like, and how much I was actually living with it, because I'd sit in my car for ages, going places, I'd want to rush in and out of shops. Like, I just put that down to just, normal, or being in a rush, or, but I was just dysregulated. There was anxiety running me.
Body
Yeah.
remember what the mind forgets.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a
Yep.
firm believer of that now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how over time, how do you feel like the breath work has helped your trauma from your previous life?
Yeah, so it's connected everything, all that awareness, all that logical stuff, all the, the stuff that I was going over in loops and loops in therapy, that I thought I would be in therapy forever. It has just, I think, released it, because, and that's the beauty of breath work. Things will pop up, images, but you're not dwelling on it. You're not in the story. Sometimes it's just, everyone's different. But for me, like, I know that there's, some events and things that have come up that I don't even need to talk out loud, go over in circles in therapy. Like, and it's just this sense of peace you start feeling in your body, but also, my head's quieter. Like, I don't have all the tabs open. I don't do all the rumination and analysing, overthinking that I was. And I didn't realise how much I was doing that until, it's releasing from me.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I've got a question. Does it help you unlock something that you might not even know? Like, you might feel like a tension, or then you can't quite put your finger on it. And obviously to be able to heal, you need to know what you're addressing. Does it help with a bit of does it open a door for you to be able to see bit more clearly?
Yeah, it can, but if you're not ready, your unconscious won't take you there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of really need to know.
No, but you, like, not really, because that's logic.
Yeah,
See, that's you in your head.
yeah.
Yeah, which I was doing too. And it wasn't until I fully was letting go and experiencing the feeling of letting go that I didn't realize how much I was attaching logic to things. Even, when things would come up in the breath work, or even if I couldn't relax in the breath work and my mind's wandering, and, when we say just bring it back when you can, or focus on something, because that's your head still fighting it and taking you out of it. So once you fully drop down into your body, and things do come up that you can let go of, or not necessarily for everyone as well. Everyone has, sometimes it's just emotions, it's feelings, it's that, the scream that you see on social media that does get, overhyped. It's not, it doesn't have to be like that. You're still in control. But just sometimes just being able to release that, like, the screams have been very therapeutic for me, because, from such a young age, I was told, don't cry, don't suppress my needs and my emotions. So that's what you do, and that's what you learn to do. So that scream in itself is so powerful. And then whatever comes, whatever else comes up, just being able to feel that as well as connecting to the breath and everything else going on. It's just been a game changer, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm coming in with a 10 next time, and I'll need a heart monitor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you recommend the breath work for survivors of DV?
I would definitely recommend it for people who have been through DV. I think if you are still in a DV situation, it can be modified, but ideally being in that safe fight or flight survival mode is what's keeping you safe when you're living under threat. So, with all the work and like holistic work and support that we do, you don't necessarily want to take someone in an unsafe environment out of that, because that is their threat detector. That's what's, but you can definitely modify the breath. You can do down regulations, but when someone is in that situation, it's more about empowerment. It's more about educating. It's more about building that identity back, getting back into your body and giving them tools for when things are unsafe or you do get dysregulated, giving them tools and things where they can quickly ground and resource, but it's just building that identity inside themselves so that they can, make a decision clearly or do what they need to do.
Yeah, I must admit, like the level of information that was given before, after, during, like it's been unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I'm still getting it now.
Yeah.
From you guys,
Yeah.
we talk all the time, and
Yeah.
you constantly checking in, and that's really impressive. There's
Yeah, thank you.
A lot of people in this kind of field will just generally just let you come in, get it done, go home.
Thank you.
But it's been great.
No, I'm glad. I'm glad that you appreciate that. And that is probably what is, the biggest motivator and our passion with this is it's not just about the breath work. The breath work can, unlock so much, but it can also, bring up a lot. It can also everyone's at different stages when they come to breath work. So, we just don't want anyone ever sitting alone in that or not understanding what's happened or, not understanding why they're feeling a certain way. And also, the thing about breath work and connecting back to your body and why it's been huge for us is, and for me, it was the first time I've been back in my body for a long time and learning to stay there.
That's such a good way of putting it. You're back in your body. You're disconnected from your brain and you're just focusing on your body.
Yeah. And that's new. Like for me, it was new. It was like, hang on.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. And it's normal. You're going to have times where you check in and out. Like that is completely normal and that's life. But what we can do is just give, you the resources, the tools, and there are so many different nervous system regulation tools for different moments, different breath works. Like, it's not necessarily about the big activations you see, but they are really powerful. But there is just so many things throughout the day for the different states or what comes up that you can do to bring you back into your body. And especially when you're so new and you're learning and it's the first time like you've been here, it's the first time you've come home really. Yeah, the biggest thing is just the awareness when you are checked out, or awareness when you are a bit dysregulated, or awareness that you're not breathing properly, because what do? You can check back in and do something in the moment, and you just, you builds on that from there.
So what would be the difference between the 9D work with like, the headphones and all that stuff compared to, I don't want to say standard, but, just without
the more traditional.
Yeah. How's, I say the wrong thing. I always go, it's like breath work, but it's on steroids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I have heard it described like that, quite a bit. And, it's probably a good way to describe it. And that's the thing about healing. And this is why, we do the work that we do. We have tried and tested quite a lot of different modalities, rehabs, therapies, So this is what we have found, has been quite beneficial not only for us but other people too, and not everything is for everyone. Like Sam and I have different things at work.
And I guess for somebody like yourself, you've been through a lot of different therapies,
Yeah.
and so you would know what's worked for you.
Yeah.
And I guess what works for you might not work for somebody else.
100%.
But you kind of got a bit of knowledge here because you've been through so many different types of therapy. Whereas somebody like myself, I've never had therapy.
Yeah.
And maybe I should have over the time, but I've kind of always just been that stubborn that I just do it on my own, essentially. But
I'm sure there's a breath work for that.
well, yeah. But yeah, like I guess what I'm saying is that, now that you've found this and you know that this works so well for you, like it's definitely something that you'd recommend for people, right? I mean, you've jumped into it, as a career choice now. So I mean, you're obviously very passionate about what it does for people, right?
100%. Like, one of the things that when we did first meet that connected us was just our goal to help people, and our passion for that, and using our experience to at least change one life.
Yeah.
And we didn't know how that was going to happen for years. Like, but we did different things that was helping people in their journey. But this for us, and the impact and change and that feeling of being in your body and just releasing suppressed emotions, and just how transformative it has been for both of us who have different, healing toolkits as well, some similar things but different, but just, what it's done for us is why we're so passionate. So, I mean, it's not just a business, like we live it and we still do it, and it's really helped release a lot of that deep stuff. Yeah.
And part of, obviously how much you guys believe in it, doing the pay what you can afford session, that's a big thing to do as well, when, you obviously need it for a source of income, but then to also facilitate a pay what you can afford. It could be 50 cents, it could be $2, it could be whatever.
Yeah. Well, that is, and we wish we could do more, and we will, we were going to aim to do more as we can and as we go, but it's just our way of giving back, but making it more accessible to those that it's not, because we also know what it's like to, not be able to access it, and finances or, whatever it is, be a barrier. And, we've also seen so many people that haven't had the chances that we have, and people that unfortunately also aren't here with us anymore as well. It's just our way of giving back and making this accessible for those who do need it. And we hope we can do a bit more in future.
It's I can't wait to get back in there.
I can't wait for you to come back.
I can't wait. I am excited about doing it again.
So
as a final note, what kind of statement would you say to any women out there who are watching or who've listened to this podcast, if they're going through a similar situation as what you've been through?
Good question. I think, why this is so important to me is, I've lived it and I didn't think I would. I also didn't realize so many of the red flags and just so much of what was happening until I really stepped out of it. And I know that, there's so many different situations, and everyone's journey and, story and what they're going through is completely different. But I think if I can give hope to males or females or anyone going through it, that, it's not what you're worthy of. It's not love. And I think one of the biggest, eye openers for me was when I started telling Sam about my journey was, no one that loves you should ever lay a hand on you. And it took me a really long time to understand that. And I think it's just how subtle, like just, you know, it can feel so subtle until it's not. And there's so many things and warning signs like at the start, I think, or during it, that it doesn't just, you know, it doesn't mean it's love, and it doesn't mean you're worthy of it. And there is a way out, and there is support. And yeah, you know, there's a lot of us out here that just really want to empower anyone going through it. Yeah, that you can and will get out the other side if that's what you want.
Yeah.
No fucking credit to you.
Yeah.
Credit, you are a tough SOB. 100. Yeah.
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 Well, like
No.
resilience and bravery and
Courage.
courage, man. Like,
Courage. Yeah.
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 you did it. You're living proof.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Well, and we're
Fucking
glad you
bravo.
didn't.
Thank you.
We're glad you didn't end up a statistic. either,
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
It's yeah, it's not nice when you hear these stories on the news or
No.
or you read them and
No.
that people are losing their lives to DV situations.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
and it's really horrible.
But
Yeah.
just thanks again. Just thanks for sharing your experience, and
Yeah.
you know,
Thank you.
hopefully we can reach, like, you know, both men and women
Yeah.
about, you know, the roles that especially that men obviously play in it and not
Yeah.
realizing. So
I think that's the other thing that I don't think I said as well is, like, you know, for men, you know, or any, you know, women, or it's obviously a nervous system thing. It comes from suppressed emotions, like, and, you know, it comes from, you know, unhealthy ideas of love, or, you know, however you're grown up, but it's just all that suppressed anger, shame, guilt, like it can come out as control, it can come out as all this. And, you know, there is ways for both sides to heal, and that, you know, the work that we do and all that, yeah, it's just if you want to heal, you know, you can. And it's just suppressing those emotions and those feelings and that stuff. Like, this is, you know, this is the extreme of behaviors, and, you know, but yeah, there is hope for both parties.
That's it.
100%.
That's it.
Absolutely. You're gonna.
Yeah. So I guess if anything was really triggering for anybody out there on this episode tonight, got a few numbers here. 1-800-RESPECT. That's 24/7 counselling info, referrals for domestic and SA abuse. Got Lifeline, which is crisis support for anyone is feeling very overwhelmed. Kids Helpline, if you're a child, shouldn't probably be watching our podcast, but Kids Helpline is out there. Domestic violence specific stuff is domestic violence line for New South Wales is 1-800-656-463, sorry. And the Women's Domestic Violence Crisis Service line is 1-800-015-188. Queensland specific, you've got the DV Connect Women's line, which is 1-800-811-811, and DV Connect Men's line, which is 1-800-600-636. And if you're in immediate danger, call 000.
100%.
100%. So remember, guys, if you like what we do, comment, like, subscribe, share. And if you want to reach out to Jess or Sam from Unbreakable Spirit Co., you can find them on Facebook, TikTok. You guys got a website?
Yeah, www.unbreakablespirit.co.
Okay, cool. Yep.
I don't even remember where else.
We will find that and put that in the
Yeah.
description as well.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
it's been a pleasure having
Thank
you,
you.
Jess.
Thanks
Yeah.
for having
Well,
me.
mate,
Thank you. Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been amazing.
It has
Thank
been an
you.
amazing podcast, this one.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
I
Jess.
appreciate it.
Nah,
Awesome.
ripper. We get that little selfie happening.
All right.
We get a picture.
Oh.